Hello, I'm Joseph, this year's winner of Michelin Young Chef of the Year here in Seoul, the first time it has been awarded. I'm a chef living in Korea who focuses on Korean ingredients and showcasing them in interesting and exciting ways. This has afforded me 1 Michelin star for the last 2 years running. I'm also very excited to be here today to cook for you all. Shall we jump into today's story? So I really like Korean alcohol, and I think it's one of the things that really makes Korea special, but most people have it with pajeon and it can be tiresome sometimes. So today I'm going to prepare a very simple recipe that people at home can cook during Chuseok to enjoy with their family that will also go really well with such Korean alcohols. Let's begin. Today's dish is an abalone chicken fricassee. This is a classic traditional French technique-based recipe that we have adjusted to utilize Korean ingredients that will match very well with Korean alcohols. First of all, I'm going to cook the chicken. So we're just going to separate the leg from the rest of the chicken. I'm going to put it straight into this pan here. So we're just going to start off by poaching the chicken. We're just going to add some extra flavorings to that. So what we have here is onion. We just need to slice this up. It doesn't need to be too particular. This is just for the poaching flavor there. To that, we're going to add some peppercorns, some garlic. So with this one here, you just need to smash it up. That will help release the flavor. And then into that pot there, we're just going to add 500 mils of shike, 500 mils of water, and 500 mils of cheongju. Perfect. And what we're going to do is just bring this up to a light simmer, and then as soon as it comes up, the water comes up, we're going to take it off and just let it rest through. This will be an easy way to cook the chicken. So while that's cooking there, we're going to start preparing the other ingredients. The next one that we have to get ready will be the abalone. So what we have here is some amazing, lovely abalone here. Now these abalone, they can be ordered from SSG.com. They come live directly from the farmers, which is super great, and it makes this dish super convenient. It's quite tricky, I think, at home to cook abalone. So this way here that I've designed is something that everyone can do at home. So what we need to do here is we're just going to take a pan, in a very dry pan, no oil, no butter, anything. We're just going to put these abalone in the base of the pan. We're just going to put that on a very, very, very low heat. This will take around an hour to cook, but so it's really good to get it started early. So while they're all cooking, we're going to prepare the rest of the ingredients. The first one we're going to make is the bechamel sauce. It's going to be a very nice texture, something that's going to go really well with the chicken and abalone. So what we're going to start with is we'll start with a pan, and we're going to infuse our milk and get that ready for the sauce. So what we're going to add to the pan here is we have 500 milk, 500 cream. Now into that, we're going to add some of this. This is one of my favorite things to use. It's Lidgerwood. Normally in a bechamel, you would be using stuff like cinnamon, nutmeg, clove. So we want to use something that's Korean here. This has, for me, a very, very pungent flavor, which is going to go really, really well in the bechamel. So we're just going to infuse that in. Into that, we're going to add the garlic, which is just going to be lightly crushed. And then some apple. Now all this is going to do is just give our bechamel a nice, good, deep flavor. So once again, you don't need to chop it too fine. It's just going to be to flavor our liquid. And we're just going to put that on a stove, bring it up to the boil. Once it's up to the boil, we'll take it off and let it infuse for another 5 minutes. So while that's cooking, we'll start our base bechamel sauce. So this one, to start it off, we make a roux. What that is a combination of flour and butter. What we're going to do is we'll just start in a medium-sized saucepan. We're going to melt our butter. And so for this one here, we're just going to take equal parts butter and flour, just so all the flour is completely cooked out. And then we're going to take our infusing liquid and add it to the mixture. Let's get started. So the steps for this one is, you don't want to add them together. You want to add the butter first. Make sure it's completely melted. And then we're going to add all our flour in there. And this one here, you want to drop it just to about half heat. We're just going to gently cook that out. We're just going to continue cooking that for the next 2 minutes at a very low, gentle heat till all that flour is cooked out. Now you can just start to see it's going a nice light golden brown here. And we're going to strain out our infusion that we just made. We're just going to get rid of all the stuff that we infused. We just want all that milk. So for this next step, we have our roux. We're just going to add it in very, very gently. If you add it all in at once, what's going to happen is you're going to get a couple lumps in there. So we're just going to add it in very, very gently. I don't think we're going to need all this liquid. So we'll start off with about 50% there. So you'll start to see it starts to thicken up there. Nice, good golden color. Might switch to a whisk. So we're just continually cooking this out gently. And we'll put the remainder of the liquid in. You should be able to smell the almond wood if you're making this at home. Coming through, very spicy flavor. And then once all that has come together, we're going to add in our aged parmesan. With the cheese, you don't want to boil it too long because it will start to go a little bit chewy. So straight off there, and we're going to take our chicken legs that have just poached off, and we're going to take the meat off the bone and get that ready for assembly. So we have our chicken legs, which is just gently poached. So we're just going to pull this off. So this one has been cooking and resting now for 40 minutes, so it's not going to be too hot. We're just going to pull it off. As you can see through here, it's just poached very gently, so it's going to be very nice and soft. It's going to have all that flavor of shike Korean alcohol through it. So this dish is going to look it's going to be quite small, but it's going to have a pack a punch in flavor. While we're preparing, I just keep the meat warm in the liquid. This is to stop the chicken from drying out. So this one here, it's all just about doing it in steps. So now our chicken has just come off. We'll put this to one side. We're going to start preparing the abalone. So our abalone now, been cooking for an hour. It's just developed a little bit of a crust. And then the inside has just been gently poached. So it's going to have this very, as they say in Korean, this very jundok texture. So we're just going to take a spoon and we're just going to scoop them out. It should come straight out of that shell. See, at this stage they still have the liver intact. So we're going to take all these out of the shell. So what we first have to do is take off the livers. So I don't like to waste any of this. So any of this stuff I just keep for my midnight ramen. So just keep these in the fridge. Super, super delicious. We're just going to take off that small little skirt around the outside there as well. So what you're left with, after taking all that out, is just a really clean piece of abalone, which has been lovely, lightly pan fried. So now, what we're just going to do is just going to slice this up. So you want it about 1/2 centimeter wide. You don't want it too big, because you want to be able to eat this from the shell. You don't want it too small either. You still want that textural component for this dish. Okay, we're going to move on to our final step. For our final step, before we build this dish, we are going to cook up some spinach. We're going to lightly fry that out. So as you can see the butter here, you don't want to add the spinach until the butter is completely foaming and really hot. Otherwise the spinach is going to stew and it's going to lose all that flavor. So we're going to add this in. It should be in the pan for only a minute. We're going to take it out. We're going to drain it. Okay, now we're going to assemble this dish. So we have our abalone shells, and we're going to fill that in there with that. So we start at the bottom with a bit of our lovely little bechamel that we made before, like so. Next step, I'm going to take our lovely little chicken, lightly poached, and put that on top. Next one we're going to do is take our lovely abalone, just put a couple slices on top there. And then last but definitely not least is our spinach. So this one should be still nice and warm. Amazing. And then to finish, our final last one, we're just going to add a little bit of fresh cheese over the top. Now if you want, you can put this under the grill and grill it. For me, I personally like the flavor of just the aged parmesan raw. So what I like about this dish is that it can be passed around during chuseok. You can have it, pick one up and eat it quite simply. It's a very, very nice little anju, as they say in Korean. So here we have it, our final dish. As this dish was supposed to be paired with Korean alcohol, I'm going to pull this little one out here to showcase alongside it. And we're going to dig into our little dish, trying to get everything in one go there. So we've got the abalone, the chicken, and the sauce at the bottom. The texture of the abalone, the softness of the bechamel, the flavour coming through from the Lidgerwood really goes well. I think this dish will go really, really well with a Korean alcohol such as 약주 or 청주. I hope you get to make this simple and easy recipe at home. 오븐 클래스와 함께 행복한 추석 되세요.